One file. One curl command. 63% less output verbosity from Claude. No code changes. CLAUDE.token-efficient is a drop-in CLAUDE.md that eliminates the fluff Claude adds to every response. But there's a catch the README doesn't lead with, and it changes when you should actually use this. CLAUDE.token-efficient is a GitHub repo by Drona Gangarapu with 1,400 stars. The entire project is essentially one file, a carefully crafted claude.md that you drop into your project root. Claude Code automatically detects and reads claude.md files at 3 levels: global, project, and subdirectory. And this file contains behavioral rules that reshape how Claude responds. It targets the specific patterns that waste output tokens. Sycophantic openers like sure or great question, hollow closings like I hope this helps, question restatement before answering, M-dashes and smart quotes that add bytes, unsolicited suggestions beyond what you asked, and over-engineered code with unnecessary abstractions. The result is responses that get straight to the point. No filler, no pleasantries, just the answer you asked for. The benchmarks tell the story clearly. Take a code review prompt. Review this code. For let I equals 0, I less than or equal to rr.length, I++. Without the claude.md file, Claude responds with 120 words. It opens with great catch on reviewing this, walks through the explanation, suggests modern array methods, discusses performance considerations, and signs off with a pleasantry. With the file in place, Claude gives you 30 words. Bug: less than or equal causes off by 1 error. Here's the fix. Done. That's a 75% reduction on a single code review. Across their full benchmark of 5 prompts, the average dropped from 465 words to 170 words. That's the 63% figure. For concept explanations, the reduction was 64%. For factual corrections, also 64%. The pattern is consistent. Claude strips out everything that isn't directly answering your question. The mechanism is elegant because it uses Claude Code's own architecture. When you start a Claude Code session, it scans for claude.md files at 3 levels. First, your global config at ~/.claude/claude.md. Second, your project root. Third, the specific subdirectory you're working in. All 3 compose together automatically. The CLAUDE-token-efficient file doesn't hack anything. It just gives Claude explicit behavioral instructions in the format Claude already respects. Think of it like a system prompt, but one that lives in your project and applies to every interaction. The rules are specific and targeted. Don't restate the question. Don't add openers or closers. Don't suggest things I didn't ask for. Don't use M-dashes or smart quotes. The key design principle they call out in the docs is scope rules to your actual failure modes, not generic ones. Generic rules like be concise are weak. Specific rules like never open with sure or great question are enforceable. Installation is literally one command. Curl the raw file from GitHub into your project root as claude.md. That's it. Next time you start a Claude code session in that directory, Claude reads the file and adjusts its behavior. If you want to pick a specific profile, clone the full repo and copy the one that matches your workflow. The coding profile for development and debugging. The agent's profile for automation pipelines and multi-agent systems. The analysis profile for data work and research. Or the universal profile that covers everything. You can also layer them. Put general rules in your global claude.md and project-specific rules in each repo. They compose together without conflicts because Claude processes them all in order. The repo ships with 4 profiles, each targeting different workflows. The universal profile is the default. It covers general-purpose use with broad rules against verbosity and sycophancy. The coding profile is optimized for development, code review, and debugging. It adds rules against over-engineering, unnecessary abstractions, and scope creep into unrelated files. If Claude is touching code you didn't ask about, this profile addresses that. The agent's profile targets automation pipelines and multi-agent systems, where you need Claude's output to be machine parsable. No decorative text, no uncertain language, just structured data. And the analysis profile is for data work and research, balancing conciseness with the depth that analytical tasks actually need. Each profile is a standalone claude.md. You pick one and drop it in. Now here's what you need to understand before you adopt this. The claude.md file itself consumes input tokens on every single message in your session. It's roughly 342 words. That's about 500 input tokens added to every turn. Output tokens are more expensive per token than input tokens, so reduced output does save money, but 99.4% of Claude's total token consumption is input, not output. Claude reads 166 times more than it writes, so a 63% reduction in output, which is already the smaller slice, might not move your bill as much as you'd expect. The repo is honest about this in its benchmarks. At 1,000 prompts per day on Claude Sonnet, they estimate savings of about $8.64 per month. For a single short query, the file is a net negative. The input cost of reading the file exceeds the output savings. The real value isn't the dollar savings, it's the experience. Responses that respect your time, skip the pleasantries, and get to the answer. That's worth something even if it doesn't show up on your invoice. So when should you actually use this? The sweet spot is automation pipelines with high output volume. If you're running hundreds or thousands of prompts per day through Claude, and the output needs to be clean and parsable, this is genuinely useful. Repeated structured tasks where consistency matters. Code reviews, linting passes, documentation generation. Team environments where you want everyone's Claude responses to follow the same format. And honestly, any workflow where Claude's default chattiness genuinely slows you down, where it doesn't help. Exploratory work where you want Claude to think out loud, debate alternatives, and surface ideas you hadn't considered. Single one-off queries where the file overhead costs more than it saves. And deep failure modes like hallucination. This file won't fix that. The docs say it themselves, this doesn't fix deep failure modes. It fixes surface-level verbosity. If you're serious about reducing Claude code costs, this file is one piece of a bigger strategy. The highest impact optimization is actually reducing input context, not output. Use a .claude in your file to stop Claude from reading build artifacts, lock files, and generated code. Keep your claude.md files under 200 lines total since they're read on every turn. Use /compact at logical breakpoints instead of waiting for auto-compaction at 95%. Start on Sonnet and only switch to Opus for complex analysis. Sonnet handles 80% of coding tasks at 60% less cost. Use plan mode with Shift plus Tab before implementing to prevent expensive rework. And disable unused MCP servers since each one adds tool definitions to your context. The claude-token-efficient file fits into this stack as the output-side optimization. Combine it with input-side strategies, and you can realistically cut total token usage by 30 to 50%. That's Claude Token Efficient, one file, real output savings, honest trade-offs. Subscribe to Prism Labs for more Claude code content. See you in the next one.